All right, everybody. Rooting guide post mortem. We're doing it. And things are really starting to come into focus here. I think we're starting to get a really good idea of what we're looking at here in the NFL, starting to get a feel for what we need, starting to understand what the stakes are, and just generally getting a pretty good idea of what the playoffs are holding for us in store. So, going to take a look at the most recent week of action, going to talk about the games, and then we're going to go to the playoff picture and just try to figure out what's going on here. So, first, Thursday night, Texans beat the Bills. Great. We beat the Texans. Strength of victory, strength of schedule, all gets a little bit better. Obviously, the Rams beat the Texans as well, but the Niners did not. So, if it comes down to it at the end of the season, and it's somewhat unlikely that it will, that is something that's going to help the Seahawks maybe beat out the Niners in a seeding battle or even a division battle, I guess. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today, get to it, and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, so back to the action from last week. Steelers Bears didn't happen. Mason Rudolph tried, played a passable game, but he just doesn't have the sauce. And the Bears, somehow, some way, we're sitting here, 8-win team. The Bears are 8-3. So take them seriously. It's time to officially say, hey, they're playing. We know they got the Browns, and I believe they have one more against the Vikings. Maybe now with either well, no, I think they already played the Vikings twice. So let me step back from that a little bit. But they have a couple games left that they're probably going to win, and if they can score a tough win or an upset, they're probably a playoff team at this point. So it's going to get a little bit tricky at the top of the NFC North, and the Steelers losing, not great for strength of victory. Small potatoes in the big picture of things, however. Patriots, Bengals, whatever. Giants, Lions, we got so close. This would have been nice. Really would have helped knock the Lions down a peg. Really would have weakened their playoff potential. Would have opened up another spot probably in the NFC, but they found a way, man. They found a way. They came back at the end. They won an OT. Really frustrating. The Giants have done this a few times now, and I guess they fired their defensive coordinator finally, but and when the going gets tough, they just cannot quite help us out. And they act like they're going to constantly. Vikings, Packers, it's kind of moot because McCarthy is A, concussed now apparently, and B, very, very bad at football. But we didn't necessarily know that until this game was over, I guess, at least the concussion part. Maybe we knew the second part already, but the point I'm trying to make is that we did kind of want the Vikings to win because clearly they're not a threat this year. There's no way they'd have to run the table. They're not running the table. Would have been nice for them to knock down Green Bay, a team that is very knockdownable, but I mean, that's kind of the contradiction here, right? We know now that J.J. McCarthy is so bad the Vikings are not a threat this year, but with that comes the fact that they don't beat the Packers. Colts, Chiefs, I mean, again, we haven't played the Colts yet, so we don't know if we want them to win or lose for strength of victory and strength of schedule purposes. As of right now, though, we know that the Rams beat the Colts. So them losing is not bad. That does weaken their strength of victory slightly. But it's meaningless if we beat the Colts in a few weeks. Jets, Ravens, not really. Yeah, I got. Well, okay. The Rams beat the Ravens, so I guess we wanted the Ravens to lose. But like I said last week, it's kind of a waste of time to hope that the Ravens were going to lose this game. Although maybe I shouldn't say that because the Jets actually were leading in the third quarter in this game. They actually were hanging around nice. Browns, Raiders. I don't think there's anything really going on here. I can't think of a good angle anyway. There's probably some very thin angle, but I can't think of anything solid. Jaguars, Cardinals, kind of mixed on this one. Yes, the Cardinals are now completely forgettable. You can completely cross them off at 3-8. They're not gonna they're not gonna do anything. Even if they win out, it's over. But on the other hand, they were already probably out of it. We don't want the Cardinals to get a great pick. And also, because we beat them twice, our strength of victory would be boosted if they won a game. So, I don't know. It's not my... It wasn't my preference. It's not a big deal. We did beat Jacksonville this year as well, but I would have preferred, actually, a Arizona win here. Eagles, Cowboys. Playing with fire a little bit, but we needed Philly to lose because Philly... They had a game and they had the tiebreaker on Seattle. If you're talking about getting top seeds. Now, we just need them to lose one more game. And the way they're playing, they're probably going to lose at least one more game. They could actually drop some surprising games the rest of the way. They are not really playing that well. And the fact that they lost this game after taking a 21-0 lead is testament to that. They have big problems, and that's good. Now, it does keep Dallas alive, but the thing is, Dallas still has games against Kansas City. They have a game against Detroit and even the Chargers. So the odds are still pretty good. They're going to drop at least one more game, and I think one more loss. I think that'll probably knock him out. At least two definitely would. One at 10-6-1, it's tight, but you could get in. But we have to hope that somebody else does it. It'd be great if a team like the Chiefs were able to do it. Falcons Saints, breathe a sigh of relief for the moment, at least. Falcons finally won a game. And it's it doesn't feel super sustainable. It doesn't feel great, but hey, 4 wins now, better than 3. Just have to keep hoping they can salvage the season a little bit with a few wins here and keep it respectable. We do not need the Rams to be going on a Super Bowl run the same year they're also getting a top 5 pick. That would just be... I would have a very, very hard time not being furious about that the whole offseason. Speaking of the Rams, by the way, and things to be furious about, I don't need to go into detail here. There is some upside to the Buccaneers losing, and I'm not here to dismiss that entirely, but the thing is, the Buccaneers look like a terrible team now. Ever since I think since they beat Seattle, they have gone from the penthouse to the outhouse, and honestly, at this point, it doesn't feel like they're even going to make the playoffs almost. Like, they're in such a free fall here, especially defensively. I don't know what they do. So that doesn't even really matter that much anymore, especially compared to the Rams, who we really need them to lose a game at some point, besides the game against us. Or else this may end up being a 14-win season that ends up in a wild card, which is not fun. And last night, Panthers-Niners, again, the Panthers losing isn't all bad, but we know what we wanted here. The Niners, they're very annoying. They won't go away. They will not just lose. But what can I say? They're very well coached, and they get it done game after game after game. And there is something respectable about it, even as it annoys you. Now, when you take a look at the way the conference is shaking up here, actually, let me take a look at just the playoff picture here, just to kind of provide a better snapshot. It's still like we may have a little bit of a concern here. Now, I believe Carolina is fake. I don't think Carolina is good. I don't think Carolina is a real threat here. I don't take them that seriously. I think that they are probably going to be like a 7 or 8 win team when all is said and done. So even if I cross them off, though, that's 8 teams that are currently poised to be a playoff team. Now, One thing that could happen that would be really nice is Tampa Bay just falls off the map, which I know they have one more game against Atlanta. I believe they still play the Saints one more time. So they've got some relatively soft wins coming up here, but the way they're playing, they really might go into a spiral here. And if they win the division, it doesn't really matter, but if Carolina could somehow sneak in up there, and again, I don't think Carolina is good. I don't think they can do it, but that would be the best outcome here possible because we still play Carolina, and as long as we beat them, which I will expect to, then at least we don't have to worry about the tiebreaker there, and we have a little bit less to worry about with regard to getting left out in the cold, because right now, if you look at these 7 teams that are currently playoff teams, and then you've got the Detroit Lions, who are clearly a good team. I know that they have problems. I know they have issues, but clearly a team that is good enough to make the postseason. you start to realize that, yeah, there's a very good chance somebody really good gets left out here because none of these teams can take the place of Tampa Bay because none of them are in the NFC South. So even if Carolina can knock off Tampa Bay, which I would like, or even better would be Atlanta, I guess. If Atlanta could somehow go 9-8 and win the division, that would be a dream. But the problem is, yeah, somebody good is getting left out here, and it's not impossible to imagine that team ends up being Seattle, because right now the Rams have a leg up in the division. They just do. Okay? They just do. So if you're talking about wild card, and I'm cool with a wild card, I think this team can go on the road and beat playoff teams. But Green Bay, as much as they're having issues right now, they've still got a team that is good enough to put together wins. San Fran just keeps on winning, even though all the injuries say they shouldn't. And Detroit's not going to fade easy either, so somebody's getting left out. Now, the good news is Seattle does get to play the Niners again, so as long as we beat them, it's very unlikely they're going to pass us. And the tie may work out, the tie that the Packers have may work out in Seattle's favor as well. That may end up hosing the Packers. They may end up literally half a game out because of the tie. But it's not out of the question. I think Seattle's clearly a playoff team. I think they have a chance to even run the table the rest of the way or come very close. And as long as this team wins 12 games, I imagine that they are good to go. Very unlikely that 12 wins is not good enough. But you look at it, if these teams find a way to keep winning, there could be a problem. I guess the silver lining, Green Bay and Detroit play each other. Somebody has to lose. So that's nice, right? We're going to have some other cannibalization scenarios, I think, but just be wary here and keep winning. Do not slip up. You slip up, you're talking about you're talking about a situation where you could be sitting there at 11-6 and somehow you're out of the playoffs and you're just scratching your head. It may happen to somebody. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your day. That is the Rooting Guide post-mortem. Might be another video later today, might not. Again, I'm thinking about streaming later, but see you guys then. Go Hawks.